Hey guys, this is Kuhb. Finally giving you the deck profile for the Malefic anti-meta. I'm going to go over the main, extra, and side deck and explain what each card means to the deck and how it works, and why it was chosen over various other cards that could have been put in there. This may be a little long because I'm going to be pretty descriptive, but some people, I guess, want to know how this actually works. So, here we go. We'll start off with the main deck, of course, and we'll start off with the Malefic engine, which is the basis of the deck. Malefic Stardust Dragon. Um, People praise Malefic Cyber End Dragon a lot because it's the big 4,000 attack beater and it's really hard to get over. But I think Malefic Stardust Dragon deserves just as much credit as Cyber End because this is the big baiter of the deck. You can summon this thing out very easily, and people are gonna react to it. They're just gonna see the 2,500 beater on the field, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, I need to get rid of that." So this thing baits out a lot of bottomless trap holes, D prisons, warnings, sometimes judgments and dark holes, which is always very good for the deck because you can just set up a play with Gadgetron or Cyber End later without any worry of any consequence. Another thing this guy does is protects the field spell, which is always really nice because you always want to have the field spell up, whether you have skill drain on the field or not for a Malefic, for just protection and keep them on the field. Next up, we have the three Malefic Cyber End Dragons. Of course, this is the big beater, 4,000 attack, basically a normal summon for no tributes, because I'm never going to use those Cyber Ends in the extra deck. This thing is just a monster. It's really hard to get over with anything except for the occasional like five-headed dragon, or sometimes if you get out an E-Hero Shining with enough attack, but usually that's just not going to happen. And when this thing comes out, usually by then it's game if you've prepared yourself. Next up, start off the stun component a bit. I got three Doom Caliber Knights. A lot of people don't like running this, but I don't think I'd ever replace it with anything. It's a 1900 attack, normal summon, no tribute, that's not bad in itself, especially since I don't use the normal summon in this deck a lot. But its effect, it can negate any effect. So like Battle Fader, Gores, Tragodia, Tengu, Tour Guide, any of that is just gonna die to Doom Cow, which is awesome. The only downside is you have to negate the effect. So if someone uses an effect Veiler or whatever, Doom Cow is just dead. But overall, it's a really good card, and sometimes it baits out Solemn Warnings and stuff because people don't see the Malefic before they see this usually, and they'll want to get rid of it because it can cause problems for a lot of decks, like plants, for example. Next up, probably two of the newest cards in the deck. Brought back the old Beast King Barbaros. Just two of them this time, though. Used to run Thunder Kings, most of you know that, but with Skill Drain and D-Fissure on the field, they become a 1900 vanilla, and this thing has the potential, under Skill Drain, to become a 3,000 beater, which is, it's always good to have more big beaters that you can summon for no cost on the field. This thing's second effect, I hardly ever use, but it actually saved me in one duel. Tribute 3 monsters for its summon, destroy every card on your opponent's side of the field. I think I got like a +7 off of that play. But that's hardly ever used. But this thing can come in very handy, like set a skill drain, normal summon it. Your opponent summons out a monster that can kill it or whatever, and when they attack, activate skill drain and destroy. It's just a really good card to have, and I can side it out if I need to for Thunder Kings, which happens occasionally. Next up, to finish off the monster lineup, two Gadgetrons. This is probably the most played monster in the deck because it's easily brought out via Gear Town, and sometimes tribute summoned with one tribute if Gear Town's on the field. Not very often, but it happens occasionally. This thing's effect is nice because it offers it protection from stuff like Deep Prison, Mirror Force, and stuff like that whenever it attacks. And it's got 3,000 attacks, so most people don't want to see this on the field. So Geartown has quite a bit of survivability, I guess is the word for it. Great card, and as I said, probably the most used monster. And now we'll start off the spells with the MVP of the deck, 3 Geartowns. The things that this card does for the deck goes unmentioned, but the things that it allows for are just ridiculous. It's a heavy storm deterrent. People usually don't want to deal with the Gadgetron, so they won't use their heavy storm to get rid of your other stuff, allowing you to set, maybe 1 or 2 more cards than most people would be comfortable with this format. Also, it brings out the Gadgetron, which is always nice because I have 3 Terraformings and 2 Necro Valleys in the deck. So you can always just set another field spell over it if you want to bring out a Gadgetron. And, of course, it's a field spell, so it allows the Malefics to stay on the field. So basically, this card is one of the big bases of the deck, and it's just irreplaceable. And now we'll start off the draw and search engine, which, according to Shadowponer, is too small, but I don't think so. 3 Terraformings, search out the field spells. You gotta have field spells for Malefics, and Skill Drain isn't a searchable card, so you have to run 3 Terraformings. Unless you're running like 7 field spells, but not many people do that. And then Pot of Duality, running in 3. I do special summon a lot with this deck, but if you use Pot of Duality in the right way, and at the right times, just use your judgment. It's always a great draw card. It can be screwed over a little bit by Thunder King, which is one of the best counters to this deck. But all in all, Duality is just... it's probably the best draw card, generic draw card that's legal right now. And then more to the stun. We got 3D fissures. I think I was one of the first ones on the Pojo thread to actually put a 3rd in the main deck. I think most people were maining 2 when we first got the idea. But I just went ahead and go 3 because I always sided in the 3rd one. This card wrecks so many decks. In the sneak peek tournament that I was in, I actually played this card first turn, and a Dark World player scooped immediately, which was awesome. And it just single-handedly beats Dark Worlds, destroys agents, plants. There aren't many decks that this card actually doesn't hit. I guess it doesn't hit heroes that well, because if they get out of Shining with Parallel World Fusion or Fusion Gate or whatever, you're pretty screwed if you've gotten a bunch of their monsters removed from play. But the card doesn't really add much synergy to the deck. It's just mainly an anti-meta card, and probably one of the best ones at that. Next up, we'll finish off the field spells with 2 Necro Valleys. Another great anti-meta card. A lot of people say we don't really need to be running these in the main deck because we got 3-dimensional fissures, but, D-Fissure isn't ever... it's not searchable, so I'm not always going to have it. Necro Valley can kind of pick up the slack. Plus, if they already have stuff in the graveyard and they draw a BLS later in game, Necro Valley is going to stop that. Next up, always useful cards. Mystical Space Typhoon, pretty self-explanatory. Destroy a spell or trap. Sometimes in desperation mode, you can use this on your Gear Town if you really need a Gadgetron out to protect yourself. Now we'll go to probably one of my favorite cards of the deck, 3 Dark Bribes. A lot of people don't like to use this because it's a -1, but if you use the deck correctly, you gain advantage so fast that the -1's not usually going to hurt you. I think I can recall one duel where the -1 actually lost me the game. But that was a long time ago. So yeah, 3 bribes. Next up, 3 skill drains. Great anti-meta card. Keeps the Malefics on the field. Makes Barbaros a 3,000. Pretty self-explanatory. Bottomless Trap Hole, I think, should be a staple now. It's a staple in all of my decks. I always use it. Great against Dark Worlds. Great against anything, really. I think it outclasses Solemn Warning, sort of, in most ways, but another great card to have. And last but not least, the Solemn Brigade. Judgment's in there because it's an all-purpose card for everything. Warnings were just recently tested, and they showed me that they deserve a spot in here. I really, really like the warnings, and, you know, all 3 of those are self-explanatory. Everybody knows why they're in there. So now let's go to the extra deck. 3 Stardust to get out the Malefic Stardust. 3 Cyber End Dragons, get out the Malefics again. 2 Chimera Tech, because I run 2 Cyber Dragons for now in the side deck. Thinking about changing that. 1 Utopia for the rare Doomcal Thunder King play. If you ever need this, it's probably like once in every 300 duels, but it'll be alright sometimes. And then the rest of the extra deck. So we've got here Dark Paladin, Naturia Exterio, Fusionist, Sandwich, Moki Moki King, and Malefic Paradox Dragon. They're all good in their own right, I guess. And now for the side deck. 2 Thunder Kings. Usually side these in against heroes and stuff like that. Anything that'll take out D-Fissure against. 2 Cyber Dragons. I'm thinking about taking these out, but right now they're in for basically Machinas and Gladiator Beast. 2 Puppet Plants. Awesome, 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 awesome card. I take out D-Fissures against heroes and Sams and stuff because they don't really help. And I side these in, take control of one of their E-heroes or whatever, and you've probably got game. 2 Zombie Worlds. Good against Monarchs, pretty much. That's really about all I side them in against. Heavy Storm, all-purpose card. If I see somebody setting a lot, I'll bring this in. A lot of people like to side in a lot of hate after game 1, and I'll see that, and then I'll side in heavy to kind of throw them off guard. 2 Safe Zones. I love this card. It'll always be here in my side deck. So amazing. It's just good against everything. Agents, Light Sworns, Monarchs, everything. Safe Zone's great. 2 Chain Disappearance for plants, agents, now Rabbit. I guess you could use it against. Devastating. Absolutely devastating against many decks. Light Imprisoning Mirror for agents, Light Sworns, anything that uses a lot of lights. It's like a fourth skill drain against them. Shadow Imprisoning Mirror for Gravekeepers and Dark Worlds and such. Anything that uses a lot of darks. I probably don't use the mirrors as much as the other cards that I use in the side deck, but they're good. So there you have it, guys. That's the deck profile, I guess. I hope that made you all figure out a little bit more as to what's in the deck and why. So yeah, thanks to everybody who's posted on the Pojo thread. I really couldn't have made the deck without all of you all, because I think most of the cards actually in the deck were not brought up by me, but were suggested by other people. I'm actually a horrible deck maker. So thank you all.